Hello, everyone. This is IJR Sports Show. This is your host, Ian or Kelly, and we are here live from the Las Vegas Bowl, Salem Boyd Stadium. And this Las Vegas Bowl is probably one of the best ones I have seen in recent years. We had San Diego State. We had University of Houston. Yes, people who, on my Instagram or on my Twitter, they saw that I was tweeting about the game live while I was there doing interviews and all that. San Diego State beat Houston 34-10. But the main story, Donnell Pumphrey, he breaks the all-time record, and he becomes the leading rushing leader, FBS career rushing record, passing Ron Dane from Wisconsin, and he passed that mark during the Las Vegas Bowl. I was there in the crowd watching it, and it was amazing to see. Everyone was excited for it. Even though I have family ties to University of Houston, I was happy for Pumphrey. And yes, I was happy for him. I was happy for San Diego State for them picking up the win. And let's go back on Pumphrey real quick. 115 yards on 19 carries, and he had one touchdown on the day. So I think that it was actually pretty good for San Diego State for them picking up the win here in the Las Vegas Bowl. All right. But as we are here, we will be recapping this game, Las Vegas Bowl. I will also be making my NFL Week 15 picks as well. So if you want to hear my NFL Week 15 picks alongside my recap of the Las Vegas Bowl between Houston and San Diego State, then stay tuned for that. Okay. And then the last thing I will do, I will be recapping all this stuff, everything that's happened along in sports, using the hashtag IJR. So if you want to ask me questions on Twitter, I will answer them, hashtag AskIJR. I have a couple of good ones that people have already submitted to me, and I will answer those in the last part of the show. All right. Okay, now like I said, I'm just going to recap. All right, let me just recap the game. San Diego State, they scored 28 points in the second half of this game. All right, it was actually 10-6 at halftime in Houston's favor, and Houston actually was up 10-0 in the first quarter. They actually shut out San Diego State and had Pumphrey at negative yardage in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, all they got was field goals for San Diego State. I will say this though, good job by John Barron II, who is the kicker for San Diego State. Good job by him, because he made both of his field goals. He made all of his extra points, and it was a good job by him, 100% on the day. All right. Okay. You look at San Diego State. You look at Christian Chapman, who was their quarterback, 128 yards, one touchdown. He was 10 for 14. Yes, the main thing was on Pumphrey. Like I said again, 19 carries, 115 yards, one touchdown, and he passed Ron Dane for the rushing record in FBS career rushing record. Okay. Also receiving, they had Curtis Anderson III, who had a touchdown in the game for them. But 4 interceptions for San Diego State, and this is what was very crucial in the game. Greg Ward Jr., the quarterback for University of Houston, 25 for 34, 229 passing yards, but he had 4 interceptions. 2 of them were by Cameron Kelly, one by Ron Smith, and one by Calvin Munson. Okay, Cameron Kelly, he was a junior from Murphy, Texas. Okay. Now, I want to say I will give a shout out to producer Mike real quick. I'm going to keep shouting you out in every single show. And there we go, producer Mike. But yeah, I mean, 4 interceptions on Greg Ward Jr. He just fell apart. And honestly, I think that it was a very bad performance by him. and Houston went to 9-4. But hey, let's look at it real quick. Okay, I'm gonna look at University of Houston as a whole. Okay, you had Herman basically go to Texas on a very sour way. Like basically, he left you guys. Basically, he left University of Houston on a very bad note. He left the University of Houston as a, how do I put this? Basically, he Todd Herman. He left University of Houston on a bad note, and he basically put a sour taste in their mouth. Okay. All right. Basically, I know that Applewhite tried his hardest to. I know it was his hardest trying to be the head coach, and him adjusting to being a head coach. All I'm gonna say is that basically Greg Ward messed up his first interception of the day. I mean, 4 interceptions, not 3, 4. And all I'm gonna say is that basically they should have done better, but University, Houston, they made a mistake. They didn't have their head coach because he is going to Texas. And honestly, I think San Diego State's running game is what proved to be the key. Now, we're gonna take a short break here on IJR Sports, and when we come right back, I will have a guest be here on the show. So you'll be right back here on IJR Sports. All right, we are right back. And like I said, IJR Sports Show live from the Las Vegas Bowl at Sam Boyd Stadium here in Las Vegas. Now, like I said, I did recap Houston versus San Diego State. I did recap that. Great performance by San Diego State, if I might add. And I will make my NFL picks real quick. All right. Los Angeles versus Seattle. I had Seattle winning that matchup. I think everybody on Twitter and everyone on Sports Talk agreed with me on that. The Seahawks are going to beat the Rams. Okay, it was a 24-3 blowout. Seahawks are now 9-4 and 1 tie. They are 7-0 at home. Yeah, Seahawks are 7-0 at home, and the Rams are 4-10. Now let's get into my predictions here. You have the Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. I have the Jets winning this matchup. I know they're 1-5 at home. They're 4-9. But here's the thing. Matt Moore is making his first start in 5 years. Okay? And honestly, I think without Tannehill, the Dolphins are going to struggle. And that will be an opportunity for the Jets to pick up a win here on tonight. Speaking of which, that actually is going to happen, and actually about when this show ends. So I will be watching that game once this show ends. So I have the Jets beating the Dolphins on this one. Next is the game that I will be commentating live tomorrow. So I will plug this in as well. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, I will be commentating the Green Bay Packers versus Chicago Bears live. Okay, so IJR Sports will be doing the Green Bay Packers versus Chicago Bears live if you want to tune in. Now, I have the Packers beating the Bears on this one. This is really hard for me to say. In fact, I really don't even want to say that. But the type of role that Green Bay is on right now, and due to the fact that they want to run the table and they want to get into the playoffs, I think they are really motivated, and Green Bay will pick up the win here. Now, without emotion, like I said, Green Bay. Now, with emotion, and with the Bears being my team, And the Chicago Bears being, my favorite team, I will say this, and I'm going to say this. Somehow my camera turned on. That was odd. But basically, I'm a longtime Bears fan, diehard. Been Bears fan my whole life. And if they pick up if the Bears beat the Packers, this would be one game that I would actually be happy with my prediction being wrong. Okay, so if the Bears beat the Packers, then this prediction I would be happy to say would be wrong, because Bears versus Packers would be great. All right, I think it'll be a great game. I'm really happy to commentate that tomorrow. Okay, next is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans, and I have the Texans beating the Jaguars in this matchup due to the fact that the Jaguars are 2-11 and they have a 1-5 record on the road. Okay. 2, Houston will improve to 5-0 in the division. Okay. And they are in a first place tie with Tennessee Titans. Okay. So the Houston Texans need this win, and they cannot afford to lose to Jacksonville. Okay. So Houston's going to get the win against Jacksonville. They are 5-1 at NRG Stadium. So the way I look at it, Texans have everything in their favor, and I have the Texans beating Jacksonville this Sunday. Next, I have the Cleveland Browns going against the Buffalo Bills. The past 2 weeks, I have said the Browns would beat the team that they were facing, and I was wrong. Okay? Now I'm not going to go for them this time. I'm going to say Buffalo will beat Cleveland. Okay? So I'm going to say that I'm going to go with my instinct. I'm going to go with all of my statistics. I'm going to say Buffalo is going to beat Cleveland. Okay? Interesting fact, you can get tickets for this game for less than $10. I actually looked this up before we started this podcast. You can actually get tickets to this Browns versus Bills game for less than $10. So if you're in the New York area and you want to get some tickets and you just want to do something on a Sunday afternoon, go to the game. You can get a ticket for less than $10. Now the next game, Baltimore Ravens versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Ravens are 7-6. The Eagles are 5-8. I'm going to go with the Ravens on this one. Okay, the Ravens. This is a very, very important game for Baltimore. Okay, they have to keep their postseason hopes alive. All right, they're one game behind Pittsburgh. They're second in place in that AFC North. Okay, and basically right now these last 3 games for Baltimore are going to be crucial for them, and they need to be dominant. All right, they need to win these last 3 games and try to get into the playoffs. Okay, and yes, I know the Eagles are mathematically still in the playoff race, but come on, they're 5-8. And I don't see the Eagles winning against the Ravens. So I have the Ravens beating the Eagles in this matchup. Next matchup, you have the Tennessee Titans facing the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Tennessee Titans. Here's why. The Chiefs are 5-1 at Arrowhead Stadium. And when you have a 5-1 record at your home, then that is a very, very good statistic. Also, the Titans are 500 on the road, which I know is not that bad, but still, it's a 500 record. That means you have the same amount of wins, the same amount of losses on the road, okay? And basically, the Chiefs, they basically now have the AFC West in control, all right? Basically, the Chiefs, they can decide. Based on these last 3 games, the Chiefs can make sure that they will have a very good spot in the AFC West and even in the playoffs, all right? And basically, this game is very important for both teams. The Titans, like I said, are tied with the Texans right now currently. If the Titans lose and Texans win, like I predict, then that means the Texans will be over the Titans, and the Titans will be having to try as hard as they can to make sure they get into the playoffs. Kansas City Chiefs, they're just trying to get a first-round bye, and they're trying to get their division. Okay? Next matchup, you have the Detroit Lions going up against the New York Giants. Now, I have the Giants winning against the Lions. Now, here's why I say this. Giants are 6-1 at MetLife Stadium, and they have won 7 out of their last 8 games, including that very, very impressive victory over Dallas last Sunday. Speaking of which, all those people on Twitter who were cussing me out because I chose the Giants over the Cowboys last week, all these Cowboys fans just proved my point about if their team loses and you are actually using statistics to make your picks, they don't care. They'll still cuss you out on Twitter. But so thank you for that. The Cowboys fans, you proved my point last week. But that was last week. Let's move on to this week. I have the Giants beating the Lions, and I know the Lions are red hot. Okay? In fact, both of these teams are red hot. Okay? Now, let's think about this. Matthew Stafford, he reportedly has torn ligaments, okay? And he threw 2 interceptions last week against Chicago, okay? But yet again, he is the comeback king, apparently, because he's had 8 fourth-quarter comebacks this season, all right? Now, the way I look at it, like I said, Detroit is on a 6-game winning streak. The Giants are 6-1 at MetLife, and they've won 7 of their last 8 games, like I said. It's going to be a very competitive game, probably going to be the best game out of all the afternoon ones. And I think it'll be a great game. I think it'll be a great game in general, but I have the Giants winning this matchup. The next matchup, you have the Indianapolis Colts going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are 4-2 at US Bank Stadium, and the Colts are 500 record on the road. Colts are 6-7. They're trying to stay alive. Vikings are 7-6, and they are desperately trying to stay in the playoff race. Okay. The Vikings, like I said, they are trying to keep their hopes alive in the playoffs. Colts as well. Okay. Basically, this is and also interesting enough, you have 2 number 1 overall draft picks facing off against each other. Sam Bradford, the number 1 pick in 2010, and Andrew Luck, the top pick in 2012. Okay. And I think this will be a great game, but I'm going to go with the Vikings here. I think the Vikings will have a better chance at winning this game. It has to do with their home record. It has nothing to do with momentum. I just believe that the Vikings will have a better shot at winning this game than the Colts will do. Okay. The next matchup, and this matchup is my upset of the week. And this is a bit of a rivalry, and this is a game that I guarantee will have a brawl. Yeah, this will have a brawl, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a brawl in this game. And the game I'm discussing is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is my upset of the week. Based on how bitter this rivalry is, and based on how much motivation both teams are going to have going into this matchup, I feel the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win, and they're going to try to make the Steelers' playoff hopes vanish. And yes, I know they won't vanish. They'll still actually, based on my scenario, they will be tied with the Ravens. But still, it would be great for the Cincinnati Bengals if they could, brag to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they eliminated them in the playoffs, or eliminated them from the playoffs. All right. Okay. Basically, I have the Bengals beating the Steelers in this very intense, bad blood rivalry as my upset of the week. Next. All right, the next matchup, you have the New Orleans Saints against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they both have 5 wins. Cardinals, yes, they have that 1 tie, so it's 5-7-1. And the Saints are 5-8. I have the Arizona Cardinals winning this matchup. Okay? Now, I think that, and the thing is, both teams are out of the running when it comes to the playoffs. The Saints, they are in danger of having, I think, 4 straight losing seasons. And there isn't really much hype for this matchup. Okay? But there's one key reason for why I'm choosing the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Saints in this matchup. And it's that the Cardinals have the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. And yes, before people go on Twitter and say, yes, the Saints have the #1 rated offense and they're averaging around 420 yards per game. I understand this. So yes, the #1 offense versus #1 defense. But here is what I've been telling everybody, and this is what I've been telling everyone since the beginning of the show, since the beginning of IJR Sports, since it got created. Defense is more important than offense. If you have the #1 defense, you can beat the #1 offense. In fact, it has been proven time after time, again and again and again. Go look at the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Broncos. The Seahawks were the #1 defense. Broncos were the #1 offense, and it wasn't even close. So I say with the #1 defense of the Arizona Cardinals, they will beat the #1 rated offense of the New Orleans Saints. The next matchup, and this one has a consensus as well. In fact, everyone has said that 100% of people have agreed with me on this. I have the Atlanta Falcons beating the San Francisco 49ers. Here's why I say this. First off, the 49ers are just complete horrible. They're trash. All right, 49ers are trash. Second, the 49ers are 0-6 on the road. And the Falcons right now, yes, they are banged up, and they are trying to compete. And they're trying to stay in line in that division race against the Buccaneers. Now, and the last thing is, this is the final time the Falcons will be visiting the Georgia Dome, depending on if they get to the playoffs, okay? Depending on where they are in the playoffs, this could be the potential time that they visit the Georgia Dome for the last time, okay? And I think with that motivation, the fact that this will be the last time they will be at the Georgia Dome, I said depending. I said if, okay? If they get to the playoffs, depending on what seed they are, they could go to be at the Georgia Dome for the final time. But if this is the final time they are in the Georgia Dome, then I think that Julio Jones, Dan Quinn, and the rest of that Atlanta Falcons team, they will try their hardest to make sure they get a final win at the Georgia Dome. And the matchup that everyone is talking about, and yes, I'm considering this an upset, the New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos. I have the Denver Broncos beating the New England Patriots. I'm going against everything statistically right now. Okay, Patriots, they are 6-0 on the road. They are 11-2. Okay. But here's the reason why I say the Broncos will beat the Patriots. This is why I'm throwing statistics out the window. Okay. Right now, the Broncos, they are the 6th seed in the AFC. They are 8-5. They're 8-5. And you know what? Here's the reason why I say this, okay? The Patriots have faced the Broncos 13 times since 2004, okay? And they faced each other in the AFC Championship game last year when the Broncos beat them to get to the Super Bowl, okay? And one last thing, the reason why I'm choosing the Broncos here is due to this statistic. Tom Brady has been 1-7 in Denver. So in Denver, Tom Brady has been 1-7 in his last 8 matchups. That is the main reason why I'm saying that the Denver Broncos will beat the New England Patriots during the late afternoon game. Now, the next game, Oakland Raiders versus the San Diego Chargers. I am going to go with the Oakland Raiders. They're 5-1 on the road, 10-3 record, and they are on the verge of ending that playoff drought, that 14 years since 2002. 2002 is the last time the Raiders were in the playoffs. And right now, based on my statistics, if they beat San Diego, they will at least be guaranteed a playoff berth. Doesn't matter if it's a wild card, it's a division. They would get a guaranteed playoff spot. If they beat San Diego, okay. All right, that is it for San Diego and Oakland. All right, I will be right back because my voice is starting to get hoarse. All right, so I got to take a drink of water. So we will take a short break here on IGR Sports Show live from the Las Vegas Bowl. When I come back, I will have my guest be on the show. So we will be right back. All right, welcome back to the IJR Sports Show live from the Las Vegas Bowl at Sam Boyd Stadium. I have my guest Curtis at this time. Curtis, welcome back to the show.
Oh man, break going in and out of reception. Hello?
Hey, Curtis, can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. All right. Before we get into the NFL picks, I want your thoughts on the Las Vegas Bowl.
They looked underprepared and uninterested. It's a stripped down staff. All those kids, they're probably not getting over it. I mean, it hurt, but was a loss unexpected? Nah, I mean, me personally, I was like, dang, it happened. Just how I heard he can scout stuff. He's got a scout. He's got to set up everything. I mean, lack of better plan, there's a storm.
All right. Okay. Honestly, I thought it would be a great game, but Houston, they did lose to San Diego State. Greg Ward 4 interceptions, and that's what killed him the most. So.
I really hope Applewhite builds a more pro-style system next year. Ward was great, fun to watch, but I mean, he broke down easily, and it was easy. It started to become easy to beat him. And the next, Kyle Allen's a more traditional quarterback. I think a pro-style system would work better for recruiting-wise than State of Texas, where everybody can spread. You have something different to offer.
Exactly, I agree. I agree with you on that. Now, are you ready to get into the NFL picks?
Let's do this. Have you been keeping track? I wonder what our versus record is.
Versus record. You know what? What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go back to the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I can actually calculate that for you. Actually.
All right.
That's actually a pretty good idea. All right. First matchup: Miami Dolphins versus New York Jets. Who do you got?
I got the Jets winning an ugly one. Tannehill not playing. It's going to be hard for the Dolphins. The Jets just completely don't care anymore.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think that you know what? I have the Jets winning this one. I know that they have 1 win this season at MetLife, but you know what? The Jets, they will win this due to the fact that the Dolphins are playing Matt Moore, who's had 1 start in the past 5 years. So that's the reason why I'm going with the Jets. All right. The next game is a game that I will be commentating live tomorrow. The Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. So I will be commentating that live here on IGR Sports tomorrow. So who's your pick?
Oh man, Packers are rolling right now. I'm gonna go Packers in a blowout. Unfortunately, sorry.
You know what? Every single part of me wants to say Chicago. Every biased part of me wants to say Chicago, but I'm gonna take my emotions aside. I'm gonna go smart here. I'm gonna say the Packers. They're on a roll. They're gonna try to run the table, and I think they will. So I'm going against everything
the media and the fans poked the bear and Aaron Rodgers, and I think he heard it and listened. He woke up, man. He's flipped MVP for him again.
Absolutely. Those last 5 or 6 games, he has woken up, and he's been the Aaron Rodgers of late that we've all known. Okay. Oh, the next game, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Houston Texans. Who's your pick?
Man, I feel like this is a trap for a game for the Texans. I hope they come out with their heads on straight. No Whitney playing. But, I mean, we played Bortles really, really well since he came into the league. I'm thinking the Texans win this one about 21-17.
All right.
Team with the ball last. Feel like this. I'm not even gonna say that. It's gonna be an ugly game too.
All right. I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans on this one due to the simple fact they are 5-1 and at NRG Stadium, and that home field advantage is actually what's been helping the Texans. Also, they are 5. They would be 5-0 in the division if they beat Jacksonville. So I'm gonna go with Houston on this one.
It'd be a big win, and considering Tennessee is in Kansas City, be a huge win for the Texans.
Yeah. Speaking of that game, Tennessee Titans versus Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you have for this one?
I'm gonna go Kansas City. Tennessee could win this game, but Kansas City's defense is really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kansas City as well due to the simple fact they are 5-1 at Arrowhead Stadium. So kind of similar to the reason for Houston, Kansas City, their home field advantage is what's gonna get them the win.
Tennessee has a really good run blocking goal line. I mean, they struggle sometimes against a solid front seven and a good pass rush. You know, Chiefs that's an elite defense. Their corners are playing well. They got a good pass rush. This might be a long day for Mariota and company.
Yes, it will. Now, the next game I'm actually have an interesting statistic I'll say in a moment. The Cleveland Browns versus Buffalo Bills.
This is my obligatory Cleveland Browns pick. I'm going to get it right one of these weeks. I'm going to look a genius.
All right. I'm actually, the past 2 weeks, I have chosen the Browns, and I have been wrong. So this week, I'm actually going to go with my statistics here, and I'm going to choose the Bills over the Browns. Now, here's my interesting statistic that I just found. I was looking up ticket prices for this game. You could get
You're cutting out.
I'm cutting out. Oh, dang.
Yeah, say that statistic again.
The statistic, you can get a ticket for this game for less than $10.
I mean, I don't care who it is. That's a steal regardless.
Yeah, so if you're in the New York area, hey, for $10, you can go get a ticket to a Bills game.
I mean, that's you know what? People got that laugh and think that's a funny joke, but you know what? That's deal. Good on them for doing that for their fans.
Yeah, I actually had no idea this existed until someone sent me a link to it. I thought they were joking, but no, it's Ticketmaster. So, yeah, it's got to be legit.
I'd go.
Hey, I'd go too. Next matchup, Philadelphia Eagles versus Baltimore Ravens.
I'm going to go Philly.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why, but I'm gonna pick Philadelphia.
Huh. I'm actually going to go with Baltimore due to 2 reasons. 1, the Eagles are 1-6 on the road, and 2, the Eagles are on a 4-game losing streak. That's their negatives that are going against them. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens on this one. Next game, Detroit Lions versus New York Giants.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'd really like to see the Lions win, but I think that Giants secondary is gonna make Stafford earn it. I'm gonna go Giants.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the Giants as well. They are 6-1 at MetLife Stadium. They have won 7 out of the last 8 games, including that win over Dallas last week. And with that momentum, I feel they will beat Detroit. All right. Next game, Indianapolis Colts versus Minnesota Vikings.
I'm gonna pick the Vikings. They're gonna beat Luck up with that old line and that front seven. And Rhodes containing Ty. Can't trust Dorsett and Moncrief yet.
Absolutely.
Vikings might make this look easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Vikings as well. And also an interesting fact I have here. You will be having 2 #1 overall picks facing each other, Bradford and Andrew Luck. So that's interesting as well.
A story of 2 careers, really.
Yep. Now, this is my upset of the week. I have the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my upset of the week.
Oh, man, I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Their defense is playing really well. The offense is coming around. Bell's rolling. I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I can understand why people would. In fact, I originally was going to, but the way you look at it is based on how much bad blood this rivalry is, how much heat this rivalry is, and how heated it is. I think the Bengals are going to try their hardest to make sure the Steelers do not win and potentially knock them out of the playoffs, which I think would make the Bengals fans very happy. So I'm going to choose the Bengals on this one. All right. The next matchup, you have the #1 rated offense in the New Orleans Saints going up against the #1 rated defense in the Arizona Cardinals. Who you got?
I'm going to go Cardinals.
Same here. Same as well. I mean, I've been telling people since I created this show that defense is more important. If you have a #1 rated defense, it's gonna win you the game. All right.
DJ might rush for 200 yards.
He might do as well. He might. It'll be a great game. Not a lot of people have interest in it. I think that Cardinals will win, and I think it'll be a great game. So now the next game is it could potentially be the last time the Falcons play at the Georgia Dome, and it will be the San Francisco 49ers versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons are gonna win this in a blowout for Atlanta. You know what I mean?
I think so as well. If this is
a little bit of extra motivation in this game.
Yeah, I think there'll be extra motivation, especially with Julio Jones and players who have been with the Falcons for a long time. I mean, this could potentially be the last time they're at the Georgia Dome. I said potentially because if they do get to the playoffs, I think they would play there. But if they don't, then this could potentially be. So now I'm going to get to the game that everyone's been saying is going to be the game of the week. New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos.
I'm gonna go the Broncos.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think Miller's a big time player. He's clutch. Broncos are mad about how last week went down. They're gonna be playing with a chip. The formula to beating Brady is hit him and hit him often, and Broncos do that.
Yeah, yes, they do. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos as well. And I'm going against everything statistics-wise. Patriots are 6-0 on the road, and they have the best record in the AFC. But here is why I choose the Broncos. Tom Brady is 2-7 in his career at Denver. So at Denver, New England, Tom Brady is 2-7.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And interesting, Tom Brady in his career at Denver, he has lost to Brian Greasy, Jake Plummer, Kyle Orton, and Brock Osweiler. So that's actually pretty interesting.
I think you got a little motivated. You got a motivated Denver squad coming in hungry. Watch out for Miller. I'm curious to what his stats are against the Patriots.
Actually, I think I have that somewhere in my stats. Actually, I'm looking for it from my notes here. his statistics against the Patriots. If I do find it, I will say it, but I'm gonna move on to the next matchup just in case. Next one is the Raiders versus the Chargers.
I'm gonna go Raiders.
I'm gonna go Raiders as well.
I mean, Chargers are falling. The most injured squad in football.
Yes, they are, and also the Raiders, if they do win this game, they can clinch a playoff spot and end their 14-year drought. So I think that's
good for their fans. It's good for their fans. They deserve it.
Yeah. All right. Next matchup, and this one is something that me and Buck Flair have been disagreeing with all week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Dallas Cowboys. So who do you have for this one?
I'm going Tampa Bay, man. They're hot. The offense can move the ball. Defense is getting. They got a good front seven too. Young secondary, but I mean, Dak's been exposed, man. Last 3-4 games, and what his weaknesses are. Tampa Bay does well.
Yeah.
And, the Tony Romo talk is going to get a little bit louder this week.
Yeah, actually, the interesting thing is the thing that me and Buck Flair have been disagreeing with. I actually have the Cowboys winning this matchup. Due to the fact that the Cowboys are 5-1 at home. Dak Prescott, yes, he's 11-2 as a starting quarterback. But you know what? I don't care about quarterback controversies. If he's 11-2 as a rookie starting quarterback, you keep him as your starting quarterback. That's all I'm going to say.
You let him learn from the mistakes and keep growing.
Yeah. And I actually have a statistic here from that Von Miller thing. His last game against New England, he had 2.5 sacks. He had 1 interception, and he had four tackles. He had 4 tackles against New England the last time.
Miller time, man. It's big game Bond.
Yeah. And the final game in the Monday night game, Carolina versus Washington.
Washington should win this game.
I agree as well. I have Washington winning.
Norman's gonna be playing with a little bit more motion and some motivation. Cousins should throw all over the secondary.
Yeah. And also, I say this because the Panthers have only had 1 win on the road this season, so that's not a very good statistic for them. So I'm going to go with the Redskins here. All right. Hey, Curtis, thank you for being on the show, and I'll have you on another time.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye. All right, that was Curtis. Thank you for being on the show, doing the NFL picks and discussing the Las Vegas Bowl with the host here, Ian Kelly. And with that being said, that is it for the IJR Sports Show live from the Las Vegas Bowl at Sam Boyd Stadium. This was a great game between Houston and San Diego State. I am so happy to be doing this. So happy to be at the game, doing the IJR Sports Show, and doing all of this today. So happy for this. And I'm really looking forward to next year at the Las Vegas Bowl. And hopefully I can make it, more of a, bigger, better, I think I can make it a lot better next year. Now that I've, gotten some experience. Also, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow when we have the Bears versus the Packers live commentary tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. And with that being said, this is the end of the show. I am your host, Ian Kelly, signing off and saying to welcome you back tomorrow for tomorrow's commentary.